Jared Dillian. Own your money. Own your life.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is the Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is the Jared Dillian Show. So there was something going on Twitter today. There's this Twitter account. It's an anonymous account. It calls himself Fed Speak. And he did a Twitter poll. He hired somebody a year ago. He hired a woman and met her for the first time. And so he did a poll. How do you greet this woman that you're meeting for the first time? A handshake, a hug, or neither? So what was interesting was it was like 60% handshake, 10% hug, and 30% neither. So it made me think of something. There was like an awkward moment. And I can't give out too many details because I don't want this guy to get busted. But I was meeting with an old friend of mine with his mistress. He's married and having an affair. So I met him and his mistress. And his mistress was a stripper. So, which high five for that. And so I was thinking about this going into it. I'm like, handshake or hug, handshake or hug, handshake or hug. And I'm like, well, I think I'm going to go in for the hug. And I got denied the hug and I got a handshake. So, but I did my own poll. The same scenario. You're meeting a friend and he has a mistress and it's a stripper. Is it a handshake, hug? The poll said hug, which is, in anthropological terms, very interesting because people think they're, sort of entitled to hug a stripper, but not a employee. Or it's very interesting stuff. So, and I don't judge people. I don't judge people. You know how dumb people are? That's a good segue. You know how dumb people are? People really like getting a tax refund at the end of the year. Our tax system is totally screwed up. Just from a behavioral finance standpoint, okay? So people get a tax refund at the end of the year. Why? Because we're withholding too much out of their paychecks, okay? So on balance, they're not getting any more money, but they just get less money out of their paychecks during the year, and then they get it all back at the end of the year. And people like this, they're like, oh, I'm going to get $2,000, so I'm going to go on a vacation or buy a Peloton or do this or that. But they plan for this tax refund. It's a gift. It's a gift from the government. Oh, the government is so nice. They give me a gift. Isn't this great? The government gives out cash. So people love paying taxes. Now, anybody who's at the top end of the income tax bracket generally doesn't get a refund. They generally have to pay money. So rich people don't like taxes. And it's not just because they pay more. It's because they don't get a refund at the end of the year. They don't get free cash. Okay. But everybody else likes tax refunds. Free checks from the government. Government is great. Let me give you a friendly piece of advice. Your goal should be to not have a tax refund at the end of the year. You have taxes withheld from your paycheck. If you are getting a refund, it means you are getting too much withheld. And what you're doing is you're making an interest-free loan to the government. If you don't have enough withheld, you could be charged penalties on underpayment of tax, which creates a powerful incentive to have too much withheld. I mean, really, what you want the porridge to be just right. Not too hot, not too cold. You want the porridge to be just right. You want to have just the right amount withheld out of your paycheck. Now, this is the amazing part. So, 2017, Trump is president. First thing we're going to do is tax reform. Okay, Steve Mnuchin is Treasury Secretary. So we cut taxes. Okay, and across all brackets, everybody got a tax cut. And of course, the journalists, they're like, oh, it was a tax cut for the rich. And no, it's a tax cut for everybody. Substantial. Everybody got a tax cut. And in fact, in proportional terms, like the lower income brackets got a bigger tax cut. So everybody got a tax cut. But what happened was they screwed up the withholding tables at the government and they weren't withholding enough money. So people got bigger paychecks, but they didn't notice. And then at the end of the year, they didn't get a refund. So now it's not the government is nice, it's the government sucks, and people are pissed because they didn't get a refund. So, but they actually got a tax cut. Over the course of the year, they got more money. They had bigger paychecks. Now, the problem is they didn't notice because the amount was small. It was $25 or $50 a paycheck, but that adds up over the course of the year. Now, if Mnuchin was smart, and he is smart, he's one of the smartest guys in the world, ran mortgage trading at Goldman Sachs and was like financing films. Like the guy's got $250 million. One of the smartest guys in the world, and he couldn't figure this out. If you were like a Machiavellian, evil genius Treasury Secretary, what you would do is you would withhold even more out of people's paychecks. Take more out and give people bigger refunds. They will love you. They screwed it up. So people got smaller refunds or no refunds or had to pay money. And it was trending on Twitter. The Trump tax hike. People literally thought that Trump raised taxes. Now, part of that was he actually did, but not in the way that you think. Okay. So one thing in that tax reform in 2017 is they eliminated or they reduced deductions for state and local taxes. And this really affected high-income people. So if you lived in a high-tax state like California, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Minnesota, Oregon, if you lived in a state with a high-income tax, then you were dependent upon these deductions, okay? So they limited deductions to $10,000 a year, and that really hosed people in the blue states, and that was a Trump tax hike. But it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do because the federal government should not subsidize spending at the state level. And the higher taxes were at the state level, the more their spending was being subsidized. So people are dumb. People are dumb. Actually, groups of people are dumb. Individual people are smart. I say that all the time. People are smart. Groups of people are dumb. Anyway, if you want to mess with your withholding, go to the W-4 form and you can sort of rejigger it, the number of dependents, and you can actually put in the amount you want to withhold. The W-4 form, like most government forms, is very complicated. I've never been able to figure it out, but doesn't affect me now because I am not a W-2 employee. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
Jared Dillian. Own your money, own your life.